thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.
Soak it in, savor it. 18 years in the making. Disappointment against the Deccan Chargers, against the Super Kings, against the Sunrisers. Finally, in 2025, RCB are champions. RCB's bowlers are champions. Virat Kohli is an IPL champion. Nexa presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout to unpack the 18th edition of the IPL final, where RCB prevail over the Punjab Kings at Ahmedabad. Most emotional, ecstatic scenes at the Narendra Modi Stadium, headlined by a teared-up Virat Kohli just falling to the turf and knowing it has finally happened. He stayed loyal to the franchise, and today he will walk in at that podium and be crowned an IPL champion, along with Rajat Patidar in his first season. This is a story and a half for the IPL world, for a franchise that is followed so passionately around the world, and we will look back at that final with Tom Moody, Varun and Dustin Silgardo. Spare a thought for the Punjab Kings before I even go to the RCB side of the story. Both teams, any team that would have gone down here, this would have been hard. But dare I say, it would have been harder for RCB than for the Punjab Kings. So now let's capture the moment. RCB have done it. First thoughts, Tom Moody.
First thoughts, I just think RCB were the most composed side on the night. Yes, we felt that they were a little bit short with the bat in that first innings, but the way that they managed the second innings and they put a stranglehold on their opponent, it just became overwhelming for a side that lacks the cap experience, the international experience, which we've admired up to this point, but just at that finishing, thrust, they need to get over the line. They just, I suppose, were overwhelmed by the occasion.
There's an overwhelming sense I can almost see in your eyes, Varun.
Absolutely. The pictures, we're obviously seeing pictures of Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers together. They were so disappointed after that 2016 loss against Tom's team. It was so close yet so far, but RCB have taken this home. Bangalore is going to go absolutely nuts at the moment. I can only imagine what's happening in the streets of Bangalore. Brilliant performance. Again, team performance. If you just have a look at their batting scorecard, that will just sum up RCB's tournament this year. Complete team performance. It's not like one person has stood out. Everybody's contributed with the ball as well. In different parts of the games, all the bowlers have contributed. And this is what has taken RCB finally to that trophy.
Such a good point. That scorecard doesn't scream of an individual performance. We had some doubts about whether the score was enough at halftime. I think there can be little doubt, Dustin, that the better team has won today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, maybe we misread the wicket a little bit. It did look a little bit more sticky, or may have been that it got stickier in the second innings. But yeah, I think in the end, RCB's experience prevailed. I think Yash just told me that there were about 7 IPL winners actually in this RCB team. A couple of them may have been kind of squad members in their teams when they won. But you have a player in Krunal Pandya who's won 3 IPLs before, been a player of the match in an IPL final before, and could very well be the first person to win 2 player of the matches in an IPL final. So that experience proved key, I think, for RCB today, and deserved winners for sure.
I want to start with the bowlers. I know the batters got the runs in a final, which is no mean task, but many RCB teams in the past, with due respect to them, they've been searching for bowlers to win them games when they're not sure about their score. So I want to start with the story of the bowlers over here, maybe starting with, as Dustin points out, Krunal Pandya.
Yeah, look, he bowled exceptionally well. He read the conditions well. It appeared just to hold in the surface a little bit, but he was canny enough and good enough to be able to change his pace and take full advantage of that, and also the game situation. He really squeezed the opposition and made it very, very difficult for them, because he wasn't trying to bowl magic deliveries and take wickets, but he was trying to strangle them, which brought him wickets and brought his team success during that phase.
Krunal
is one of those bowlers who has, I would say, not that much talent, but if he's got, say if his talent is 7 out of 10, he makes sure he uses all 7 every single day on the field. And that's what really stands out for Krunal, and that's why he's going to be, hopefully, the player of the final for the second time, because that was some brilliant bowling. Just the pace variation, even though he's not a big turner of the ball, he knows when to slow it down, when to fire it in, and just that catch as well towards the end. He's just on when the team needs him.
I want to assist you there and add that when you say he's not with as much talent, it shouldn't be misinterpreted.
Absolutely.
That here is a player
Yeah.
whose perhaps cricketing gifts are not as much as a lot of other guys who might get lovely drift and have
100%.
beautiful action
Yeah.
and whatnot. But the stage, what he brings to it as a package, I mean, there is something to admire about that and the value of it on a day like this.
They say the game is more in the head than anywhere else, and Kunal just shows you how important it is to use your brain in the game.
It screams character to me. It screams character that he welcomes the big stage. He likes the opportunity to showcase what he can do when the pressure's at its absolute maximum. And history has shown you that, that's a place that he's happy in.
And it's also hard work, because I think a couple of years ago he spoke about how he kind of went back, did a lot of bowling in the nets, reworked some of his action, trying to be more of a wicket-taking bowler, and clearly it's paying dividends. On the point of pace variations, I think today the ball that got Prabh Simran was about 80 kilometers
Yep.
per hour.
80 kilometers.
Was,
And
yeah.
then the one to Inglis was 100 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
So it tells you the kind of range of speeds he has attacking batters with different speeds.
Yeah, and when he pulled out of one, I think it was Prabh who was either trying to
Yes.
charge down,
Yeah.
and he just pulled out of it. I think he bowled a follow-up ball, which was one of those well behind the crease 24-yarders, if we want to call them that. He basically is, we said this before, he reads the batters. He doesn't forget that, that is something that he's got to do. Whereas the batters today, you almost felt like, oh, the occasion is what they're playing. Krunal is still playing batter in front of him and the game in front of him.
Yeah, well, left arm spinners, like an orthodox right arm off spinner, they don't have the benefit of the mystery spinners where the ball's spinning both ways and there's uncertainty, with how it's going to perform off the surface. So they need to be canny and cagey the way they go about their craft. So they use angles, they use pace variations, and they try to get in the opposition's head, because they know the opposition are needing to push the game forward when they're at the crease bowling. And he manages all those things so well.
Josh Hazlewood. Now, it's 1 for 54 because I think Josh Hazlewood was already just getting through the
He
over.
checked out.
Yeah, when the job was done. But he got the wicket of Priyansh Arya. Phil Salt played his part in it. There was a humongous role that he's played, not just in the final, but overall in the season. Hazlewood's impact today?
Huge impact, because obviously the figures don't show the impact he's had on the game, but Priyansh Arya and Prabhsimran Singh were really going well in the power play. RCB, we could feel shoulders droop and people looking a bit flustered, but after that catch, RCB really pulled it together, and that was such an important catch. Phil Salt, again, brilliant athlete, and Josh Hazlewood just has a knack of picking up wickets in the power play, where other bowlers haven't really picked up that many wickets in the power play amongst RCB as well.
Anything on Hazlewood?
No, I think the power play was crucial for RCB because they kept them to 52 for 1 in the power play. So then the pressure built up a bit, and then when the spinners came on, you could see that Prabh Simran thought, okay, I've got to take down the spinners, but he wasn't able to connect. He was mistiming more or less everything, and then the pressure kept building. But having 52 for 1 in the power play, it just meant that RCB knew that they were always in the game if their spinners came good.
I'll let you start off with Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. And if there was any hope in the game being rekindled, and dare I say, in the end, I know that last over must have had a very different intensity from RCB. But the difference on paper at least is 1 hit, 6 runs. And he's dismissed Marcus Stoinis in that over, he's dismissed Vadera in that over. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, once again an IPL champion. Tom?
Yeah, 2 for 38 for him. Yeah, look, a great wealth of experience. Bowled, I thought he bowled exceptionally well. Executed his Yorkers well. He was a threat with the new ball. He got the ball to swing. He did everything that was required of him, and it was nearly like plug and play. You know what you're going to get because he's been there and done it, experienced, didn't let the side down, which Bhuvi really does.
Dayal, and let me throw in Shepherd also today, because if there was one batter that you would have thought for, right, after the second qualifier, this is our plan to Shreyas, this is what we're going to do. I'm not sure what part of that plan was Romario Shepherd's going to get him nicked off.
But Shepherd is one of those bowlers who's very unassumingly quick. He gets on to you faster than you think. He bowls a healthy 135, 137, and also with his height, he can be a bit tricky at times. Like you said, he wouldn't have been one of those bowlers who featured in Shreyas' visualization in the previous day.
Yeah.
He would have been thinking Hazlewood, Kunal Pandya and these kind of guys. But suddenly he sees Romario Shepherd, plays a very iffy kind of shot, wasn't a complete guide, wasn't a proper cut. and just nibbles one to the keeper. That was a huge moment in the game.
And I think Shepherd used the pitch really well because he was bowling those into the pitch cutters. In fact, the only times he pitched up, he got hit for 6.
Yeah.
But then he recovered in that over where it looked like it might be a big over. And he actually recovered and started going into the pitch again and made sure that there were no big overs basically even when Shashank and Nehal were trying to take him down.
Yeah, as we talk about an all-round, since we're doing bowlers first, but the all-round bowling performance that Varun talks about, they also had a nice, quiet 1 for 18. But this is a retained player. Siraj was released. They trusted Dayal. He's had a big impact right through the season. He's part of a decision that's led to an IPL winning side now, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's been the opening bowler. He's been the constant in their setup this year, and you can't underestimate, the body of work that he has done over the season, the impact that he's had. He's made his contribution tonight. Look, yes, he didn't get any wickets to his name, didn't complete his overs, but he played his role, and that is the story of RCB this year. Everyone had their moment to play a role, and it wasn't sort of climbing for pick me. I'm the one that's doing all the heavy lifting. It's everyone shared, and it was nearly like it was welcomed by the group that it's great that he's had his moment. It's great that he's had his moment, and again the final was a bit like that as well.
I think Yash Dayal, if you look at his overall stats, it's not going to really show how he's impacted a lot of games. Yash Dayal has come in at very crucial junctures. Maybe not today, but he's gone at a very good economy today. But in previous games, he's gotten like key wickets at the right times, and that's what Yash Dayal has done this year, especially the year after that Rinku fiasco. He's just turned things around, and hats off to him. Because last year was a really good year with the ball, especially at the back end. He had some games where he defended runs towards the back end, and this year as well, he's gotten those key moments.
Yeah, I mean, you can recall him taking the new ball to Rohit Sharma at the Wankhede, him bowling at the death to CSK.
Yeah.
All those moments have come together for Dayal. We'll talk batting now. Before we talk about the all-round batting effort, I was just picking up visuals from Ahmedabad. It's as emotional as I can remember seeing Kohli. Here's a multiple-time ICC event winner, world champion and whatnot. But you sense that this has been significant monkey on his back, burden that he's not been able to win in spite of having those 900 seasons and whatnot. Extraordinary emotion from Kohli. You know the man well.
Look, he's been the king of the castle in RCB for 18 years, and at the end of the day, if they haven't won a trophy, the first person who they're going to look at is Virat Kohli. So, and Virat Kohli, he loves to win. He can't take second as even an option. So this is huge for him. Also, the kind of adoration and love he gets from the fans, from the franchise is just huge. And this is what they've been expecting for the longest time. It has come good. RCB have been the most loved team in the Indian Premier League by far. And now I don't know where it's going to go after this.
I like that you mentioned the fans, and I'm going to talk about this. This is a story of really well followed franchise also getting their ultimate reward. But Kohli has said this too. This win is as much for the fans as it is for the team. That's his first line. I've given this team my youth, my prime and experience. Tried to win it every season, gave it everything I can. This is interesting. Never thought this day would come.
It's probably because of the weight. And I was actually going to make the point that his cricketing career was nearly born at RCB. So that's why I think he's so emotional, because he's been so invested as a young player with a young mind, with not knowing of the body of work that he's going to do in the game and that status that he was going to get in the game. So you can see the connection that this has to him, because he's been through all those ups and downs. We saw the stats earlier on in their pre-show about how many times RCB have made the finals in the 18 seasons. What was it again? Was it
10
times?
Yeah, 10
times, 4 times final. You can see why he's emotional. Because it's nearly like the young Virat Kohli coming out of him, just celebrating and rejoicing in an emotional way.
After 2011, this was the only domestic cricket he was playing, if you go to see. So the kind of affection and the kind of engagement he has with RCB is second to none, because some people when they win the Ranji Trophy, they feel like a huge burden has been lifted off their shoulders, but this is Virat's big domestic cup.
I'd like to think here, there's a deeper emotion also with what we're seeing of Kohli here. Of course, Indian cricket has made him a global superstar. But I can't help but think RCB's own contribution towards what it's done for Kohli's life. If you have to really take stock of the brand, how it grew, if he was a player not at RCB and playing for India, he would have still been an extraordinary superstar. There's something about the two associations where I'm sure he also feels like it is an as important part of my professional life than playing for India too, with no disrespect to his national commitments. You know where I'm coming from? That this franchise means more to him personally than it would for any other individual personally for their franchise. Maybe MS at CSK as well, like that worship that you've sort of almost got.
And I think it's likewise from the franchise as well. I think it goes hand in hand. RCB has had its role in making Virat, but Virat has also made the franchise.
Yes.
Because 18 years, the biggest Indian player after Sachin Tendulkar, I would say, who's played for you day in, day out for 18 years. He's hardly ever missed matches. He's hardly ever missed IPLs. He's turned up season after season and given everything. When fans see the main player give everything on the field with bat and even on the field, they're obviously going to feel that, you know what, this guy deserves something.
I think it's been a huge part of his personality, right? I mean, he's played 267 games for the franchise. And if you think about even Kohli back in the day when he was batting with Gale, you could see he adopted some of Gale's flair. He loved batting with Gale. Over the years, he's become very close friends with ABD. So he's learned a lot from the other players who've been part of that franchise, and it's become a huge part of his personality.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be so relieved. There was a time he needed to bowl death overs for RCB.
Yeah, not required today.
Yeah. Not required. I'm going to take some more just key points from Kohli's immediate reactions at Ahmedabad. He talks about AB and says that he told AB, now this is as much yours as it is ours. This win is right up there. I've stayed loyal to this team. He even says, I hope AB is on the podium receiving it. Not that I'll ever be BCCI president, but I've asked AB to hand over the trophy just as a gesture. If I was there right now, maybe along with me, hand it over to
AB's played
RCB.
a huge role. AB's played a huge role in the franchise. There's no two ways about it. AB, Chris Gale, and Virat have really built the fan following of this franchise. But today is about the guys, the 11 guys. Sorry, not the 11 guys. The 25 guys who've really worked hard this season and made this trophy happen.
Quick final comments on Kohli. Said tonight I'll sleep like a baby. This moment is the best I've had. It still marks 5 levels under test. All right. I'd urge youngsters to give your heart and soul to it. That's what will give you respect. He also speaks of the importance of, he just brings up that I stayed loyal to this franchise for a reason. He had his moments, but he chose to stay loyal to them. Sure, it was a tough time when he decided to step down from the captaincy and whatnot. But yeah, humongous emotion attached.
Yeah, just last thing on, his association with the franchise. Apparently, when he went back to play Ranji Trophy cricket for Delhi this year after a long time, the entire Delhi stadium, in Delhi, there were chants of RCB, RCB. So that tells you just how much he's associated with the franchise.
That's his home state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read somewhere in one of the marketing sports columns that RCB is one among the top 5 or top 10 most recognizable sports brands. We're comparing it throughout. We know about cricket's unique spread of following largely to the subcontinent and to the traditional cricket playing countries. But RCB have been quite something in the Kohli story.
Well, they've done everything absolutely perfectly in 18 years apart from do what they've done tonight.
Yes.
And that's get silverware. So when it comes to an organisation, they're elite. When it comes to, selecting their players, they select world-class players that, help build the brand. They've played some outstanding cricket. They've given themselves a chance by, being in finals, 10 times out of 18. But this was what the piece that was missing, and now they've found it.
And now, at this point, the way he batted today had us all doubting that, all right, is this a Kohli who's once again perhaps being too cautious or putting too big a price on his wicket? Maybe there are other guys too. But the monumental expectation of a Kohli is that the price of his wicket is, even though all wickets are worth the same, somehow the burden of his own expectations is that much higher. And by playing a 43 of 35, much like he played an interesting innings in the World Cup final, without which India had no chance whatsoever. Now you can have your own opinions and debates of could he have pulled the trigger here or here. And Kohli's always been extremely keen to talk about how only he knows what he's playing on, what the situation of it is. But here now we look at a plan that worked. We were unsure at half time, but Kohli took guard at one end, made sure that things weren't falling apart, and 20s and 30s cameos came at the other. So now we look
I
at
don't
that.
think I was unsure. I was pretty
You were
much
very clear,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was very clear that that was what he needed to do at that point. Yeah, even he would have thought maybe if I was scoring at 130 or 135, it could have been better. Every batsman thinks that like that. Every bowler feels that, you know what, I should have given a few runs lesser. But at that situation, that was required. It needed somebody to stand guard and not let 2 wickets fall or not let wickets fall in a bunch, because they were losing wickets. The moment they were building up partnerships, building up momentums, they were losing wickets. But Kohli stood guard, and that's what he does. He just plays the pace that's required. So a lot of times people get caught up in, Kohli's playing a bit slow. But I mean, if you see it in perspective, more often than not, he's just playing the pace the game requires him to play. And I'm a believer in that Virat Kohli knows the pace of a game. And it's not a coincidence he's called the chase master, because you only can earn that tag when you know the pace of the game.
Yeah.
There are hundreds of guys who can play at much higher strike rates, but are they as consistent as Virat Kohli?
Yeah, I find it hard to understand how you understand what the pace of the game is when you're bat first, though. And that's
if you're losing wickets, then you kind of sum it up.
I look at that also, and that middle order, it's not like they all got single figures or less. You've got Kohli 43, you've got Agarwal 24, you've got Patidar 26, you've got Livingston 25. So everyone was contributing along the way. It's not like it was a bang, bang, we got to reset. I think it was a good innings, but I still feel, and I'll stand by this, that they were 10, 15 runs short of what they should have been. But Punjab's batting, and you've got to give RCB's bowling credit.
I think also after seeing how the way the pitch played in the second innings, we've got to give massive credit to some of the other RCB batters. I mean, Patidar and Livingston have both struck at more than 160 on that wicket, and Jitesh Sharma 24 of 10 on this wicket, where the ball was holding, and it's not like he was getting slot balls. He was getting cutters into the pitch, hitting it behind the wicket. We didn't see any of the Punjab batters manage to do that.
Was Shashank?
Romario Shepherd 17 of 9.
Yeah, in the end, yeah.
Romario Shepherd 17 of 9.
Yeah, so again, like massive contributions from everybody.
Yeah.
Is what helped them get to the...
Yeah, I guess we've also been spoiled by how easily Kohli has played at the 160, 170 strike rate this season, and he's kind of unshackled himself. But the stage, you can't not quantify the stage and the occasion here. And the stage is something that we'll come to when we talk about the Punjab side of things.
All said and done, the scorecard reads Virat Kohli is the highest run scorer in the first RCB win.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The aggregate numbers are there.
Yeah.
But I guess you have to look at the entire batting scorecard, like you rightly said, as a whole.
Yeah.
And how they've all put this together. It's a team effort.
Yeah.
And before I go into Jitesh and the rest, Patidar, captain of RCB, first season, IPL champion. I'm thrilled for Rajat Patidar, who I recall at the time when we were having the chat when he was announced. Whatever little I could pick up from Andy Flower and from those that were, even Wasim Jafar, who's seen him a lot in the domestic circuit, is quiet guy, introverted guy. That's not necessarily the job description for RCB captain.
But it's what they want.
But brilliant.
It's what they needed.
Yeah.
They needed someone that would be, I suppose, the opposite to how they're perceived as a team. They need someone that was more measured, more reserved. It doesn't mean that you can't play out there that bold cricket which they promote and that brash brand, which is absolutely fine. But from a leadership perspective, they needed that type of personality, and they've absolutely nailed it. And I'm thrilled for him because, he's under a huge amount of pressure. The spotlight's right on him. He did it seamlessly.
There's a lot to also like about just Patidar, the captain. The games he was not there when Jitesh was captaining. You brought it up multiple times and you could see the difference. Today, bowled Krunal Pandya. We were quite critical of Hardik Pandya not bowling his left arm spinner in the second qualifier, not getting the tactics right. You could so easily lose this game, even though if you play it smart, it's a game to be won. How much credit to the tactical acumen of the captain, Patidar?
For sure, huge factor in them winning the title this year. His captaincy was at the fore in the last 2 games. Huge shift from when Jitesh was captain. With no discredit to Jitesh, it's very difficult to come in towards the back end and be captain suddenly of a huge franchise like this. But then again, today, just to put it in perspective, giving Romario Shepherd that over was big.
Yeah.
Obviously, Romario Shepherd, they know that he can hit the deck. he could have easily brought on somebody like Bhuvi or Yash Dayal, who are regular bowlers against Shreyas, and they could have gone for a few because both of them bowl slightly fuller. But the best option to bowl Romario Shepherd and also keep Josh Hazlewood in case he gets going towards the back end was just beautiful captaincy.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent because he gave Bhuvi, Yash and Josh 2 overs each in the power play. So he didn't try to slip in an over of somebody else because I think he realized that on this pitch, the power play might be the best time to score. So he had his best 3 seamers bowl there. Even little things like, Inglis was getting a lot of runs to mid-wicket. And then he had this very straightish deep mid-wicket, just trying to kind of curb the runs there. Eventually, Inglis goes over long on. So there were these minor things that I think he's actually really good with when it comes to even field changes and bowling changes.
Yeah, he's on the money even when when he's well ahead in the game. Just bring Surya Sharma back. Gets one quiet over out of the way. He's backed his bowlers. He's bowled 5 bowlers very often this season. Only after Shepherd came into the team, he started getting some games. And I don't think we've been critical at any point really of RCB's selections per se. You could understand a calmness, a security with their team, not something associated with RCB franchises in the past as well.
And the other interesting thing is that you look through the season, there wasn't too many occasions where he was surrounded as an inexperienced captain by others with strong opinions.
Yeah.
And that can really be upsetting from a team dynamic point of view because it's, are we turning left or are we turning right? Are we bowling this person or bowling that person? And you've got 3 or 4 different opinions that are all voicing it with emotion because of the way the game is going. He seemed to just make a lot of his decisions removed from the pressure of seniors coming in and voicing their opinion during those sort of pressure moments.
Who's to say he wasn't getting those anyway? I mean, you could have it from Kohli, you could have it from Dinesh Karthik in the dugout.
Hazlewood.
Andy Flower walks out in the middle. You have a lot
But it
of
was
things
done
being said.
seamlessly.
And it still felt like Patidar's team, if it's fair to say.
Yeah,
100%.
because so often when you play against an opposition and that happens, you feel we've got them on the ropes here.
Yeah.
They're gone because they're all trying to, think the fine leg should be up and not back, or this bowler should come on instead of that bowler.
First one's always the hardest, isn't it? If Australia don't win 87, who knows if they win 5 between 1999 and 2015 after that, as you would well know. They've won this at an early stage of Rajat Patidar's captaincy. What could this possibly do for the next few years? Could we see RCB go bang, 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 or maybe 2 or 3 titles in the next 5 years at this stage of how this team's come together?
I think RCB are going to be, they've always been a very dangerous team. They are going to be even more dangerous now. Because now that weight of expectations, that first title has been completely removed, the shackles have been broken, and they're going to come out believing that every title is theirs, every IPL is theirs to be won, and they have the support of stadiums. I wouldn't just say Chinnaswamy, but the support of stadiums behind them to do it. And especially after winning this, I think it's going to be madness.
Yeah, I think, yes, I think they will have success going forward, whether they go bang, 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 as you say, and win multiple trophies, but what they have got is a very good squad. I think this squad they've got this season is the best looking squad, balanced squad, well put together for their particular blueprint. They've nailed it. So hats off to, Andy Flower and his team that have put this together, because there's a lot of headaches and there's a lot of stress that goes on in constructing the right team, and particularly this team where the stakes are so high, the fan following so high, the issues they've got at home is being real. You can't avoid the fact that they struggle at home. So that's still, a potential issue, but they've rectified a lot of their historical problems.
I mean, gosh, it seems like an easier thing to figure out now because they won 7 on the road. So which is a record in itself. They'll figure the Chinnaswamy out at some time, which by the way now will, of course, as tradition goes, host both the opening game and the final of IPL 2026. So we put that in mind. I'm glad you brought up Andy Flower, along with Mo Bobat, Dinesh Karthik in the dugout for the first time. I'd love to mention Omkar Salvi, for a man who's actually copped a lot of criticism because where's RCB's bowling? Where are the bowlers? How are they bowling? The Omkar Salvi could only do so much as bowling coach. Freddie Wild, who of course, as an analyst, has been there for a while too. Good old Malolan's been there for a while. So you've got a group of people that have worked really hard to just get the squad together. The senior leadership in Bobat and Flower, I'm sure, who had to get the management to buy in, along with Kohli to buy in, that we're going in this direction after Faf to proceed. All big decisions that have eventually led to where they are today. But a word on perhaps the management coming from you fittingly?
Yeah, look, Andy Flower's got a great history in franchise cricket and international cricket. You know, a very decorated career, and this just adds to it even further. You know, he didn't do a lot wrong in the first 2 years at Lucknow, and they decided that, you know, it was time to move on. They qualified in the first 2 attempts when he was coaching there. He's calm. His attention to detail is second to none. He's obviously built a very good team around him as a support team. You've mentioned a number of those people, and you know he's structured in his approach. You know, there's a process that he follows, and he gets. You know, the key to it is getting everyone on that same page, and he's done that again, which he's done historically well in other franchises around the world.
I think Andy's had a role to play in getting Mobo bat there as well. The two of them work quite well together. DK.
Huge, especially after Jitesh's innings, he thanked DK profusely, and he was like, DK is the man behind this, and that just shows how somebody who's been there, done that very recently can actually add to your fortunes as a batting unit. And DK has been, he was playing for RCB just last season, so he knows the pulse of the team, he knows how badly RCB want to win it, and he's brought that experience to the batters, especially the batters lower down. It's a huge year, and even Omkar Salvi, like you spoke about, the bowlers have actually done really well, and credit has to go to the support staff. I think sometimes in victories like this, the support staff is not given enough credit. But if they lose, the first people who are thrown under the bus is support staff. Right. So huge contribution by obviously Andy Flower, trusting somebody like DK and Omkar Salvi to come in and provide their experience and see what the team's done.
I'll throw in a few more. Evan Speechley is there. You have to get Josh.
Evan Speechley is the only. I love Evan Speechley. One of the best physios in cricket. I mean, he's won the World Cup with the Springboks. If people don't know that, the iconic Rugby World Cup, and now this Evan Speechley is the only member in that whole squad who's been there from the first IPL to the last one, except Virat Kohli. So huge for him.
Brilliant. Richard Halsall, their fielding coach. I'd like to also bring up Freddie here, because I don't think through the season we've had any obvious analytical blunders. Maybe I'm not getting carried away with the emotion, but their choice of team, their choice of matchups, we've perhaps sometimes gone, okay, Hazelwood new ball instead of Dayal Bhuvi, but we still know what they're thinking. They played key roles tactically in keeping Surya down at the Wankhede when they won there. They won at Eden Gardens. They won at Chepauk.
Yeah, or even little things like saving that over of Surya Sharma for Dhoni and Jadeja in that crucial CSK game.
Correct. So they've done a lot of things right. Lungi Ngidi came in, had a good game. Nuwan Tushara came in, had a good game.
All the replacement players have had a good game.
Padikkal had a great
every single replacement has had a good game. Mayank Agarwal played an important innings.
At Lucknow.
Even in the qualifier, Mayank Agarwal played a huge innings.
Well, even today, you know, he's 24.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Good selection, also good pick, just trusted hand, stage like this. Yeah. So RCB, tick, 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 lots to like going forward. Well done, RCB. Punjab Kings. Romantic story, uncapped players taking you through to the final get to them. Did the occasion get to them?
Look, it's always hard coming in on the back of having to qualify again after losing the first qualifier. And maybe that sort of drained some emotion out of them. But I couldn't help but feel that some of their uncapped players, which we've celebrated this year quite rightly, because it's been, you know, stunning to watch, you know, them burst onto the scene and do what they do. It was nearly like they were somewhat suffocated in this environment. You know, whether it was the occasion, whether it was the surface, whether it was the opposition bowling, but it just didn't seem to have that same flavour that we've seen from Punjab, their style that they have played so well and we've admired. It was nearly like they were suffocated by the occasion.
Yeah. Break down the numbers here for Priyansh Prabh and Vadera. Vadera really also looked like just couldn't get the ball away. But Priyansh and Prabh played very differently to how Priyansh and Prabh have played all season.
I mean, I don't know if they played differently or they just couldn't get the pace of the wicket. Because, of course, the numbers show that they've got, 65 or 59. So the three of them combined have gone at barely more than run a ball. But the thing is that if you look at the shots they played, their attacking shot percentage was quite high. but they just couldn't time anything, to be honest. I mean, if you look at Vadera's innings, he's had at least 3 reverse sweeps that have just met clean air. He's been trying to force the ball on the leg side. Prabh had some pretty ugly hacks where he's just under-edged it. Priyansh, I thought maybe was the one player who, he was looking to just play drives. He wasn't going over the top as he sometimes does. But I don't know whether it was, them. I mean, it could have been the occasion, or as Tom said, maybe the surface where it just didn't seem like they could time much on this pitch.
I think Punjab is a clear case of their overseas batsmen not stepping up this year. The only overseas batsman to actually get runs is Josh Inglis. If they had another batsman contributing, the overseas experienced batsman, because their local batsmen and the inexperienced local batsmen got them to this stage. They played really, really well. These are the games where you want your experienced hands to step up. Shreyas Iyer again delivered in the previous game, got them to the final. Without that innings, they would have not gotten to the final, let's be honest. But you just need your international experienced batsmen to stand up and stand up at the right time.
Could they use them better?
You're just on that. That's my point, is that you want the batsmen to stand up, but only one of them really got an opportunity to bat in the top 6, and that was Inglis. You look at Stoinis batted 7 today, Omarzai batted 8, and it's not like they've played a specialist batter to play that role that you're referring to, apart from Josh Inglis.
So Stoinis has been getting chances. I would say better entry points in the whole season.
So Marcus Stoinis.
Yeah.
So Stoinis started playing as a number 4-5, which then moved to a middle order role. English didn't even feature in their first team.
Yeah.
But here I guess the question is, it's one thing to do it when it's working for you during the league phase. But come the tournament chase, could you have taken a slightly more bold call, if it is a bold call, and say, right, this is the final we're talking about? Let's send Marcus Stoinis in early.
Well, exactly, and he's a World Cup winner. He knows what the big stage is like. Yep. I actually made the point before Wadera came in. I said, maybe this is the entry point for Stoinis, purely for that reason. But then I thought about what I had said, and I said, well, maybe they want the left-hander to take on Pandya.
And dare I say, Tom, what they saw just 24 hours back or 36 hours back, Vadera and Shreyas have turned the game around against.
Yes,
Vadera played his part.
exactly.
So they don't have a lack of confidence in a Vadera.
No, exactly. And so you can see the point why they brought Wadera in at that point, but I'm also sort of making the point that maybe the presence of someone that has climbed Everest a few times, might be this is a time for him to take the game.
Yeah, it's fairness. Shashank has ended up 61 out of 30 and played well. But he also went at that, he needs 10, 12 balls. He needs those few balls to get in. And by the time Stoinis came, he had to hit from ball 1.
Yeah. And Stoinis was unfortunate tonight. Yeah. His first shot was great. Yeah, I mean, that ball could have gone anywhere.
Yeah.
Great ball by Bhuvi, well executed, but unfortunate. But at the end of the day, if you see the stats, the overseas batsmen have not delivered this year.
And we can look at many points where they could have lost this. Shreyas' wicket was really key. English at the time. Openers didn't really get the big one. But would you still, I think there will be no doubt that tomorrow morning when the Punjab Kings wake up, as disappointed as they'd be thinking we've got a really good team for the next 5 years here with the amount of uncapped players, young players.
I think this is a great result for them. With the team they've come out into the IPL with, I think the support staff and the captain have really marshalled their troops well and gotten them to the final. It's a great result for them, because if you looked at this team before match 1 and been like, okay, so many inexperienced young players who've not even played enough domestic cricket, guys like Priyansh Arya, he's just played the DPL. All right, and for him to come and have this kind of season is huge. So I think huge takeaways from Punjab this season. They should be happy with the way they've gone about. Obviously, they would love to win today. Maybe that Shreyas Iyer caught behind is going to haunt them for a bit.
Yeah, I can sense from some of the comments here that they're thinking, oh, Punjab have messed up a great chance to win it. Who knows if they'll get this chance again? I'd be more optimistic if I was in the Punjab Kings.
I mean, the season has been outstanding. They've not reached a playoff since 2014.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Punjab became the kind of franchise that people at times were almost laughing at because some of their tactical decisions, there was all this talk about the team management there, or the owners don't really know what they're doing, because no other team has gone that long without making the playoffs. So very few other
unless
teams.
they're not even coming close. To
Yeah, not
winning.
even coming close to it. You know,
And
it was
former
always
players to at
I
your
mean, yeah, it
point.
was almost a joke that no matter who ends up at Punjab, you know, they'll end up 8th or 9th in the table.
Yeah.
And so for them to reach the final, I mean, honestly, I didn't see it coming pre-IPL. So I think it's an outstanding result.
I
for them.
think you make a good point here, and I bring this up. Number of players also who've been at Punjab. I know Glenn Maxwell wrote something in his memoirs, and many people have penned things about not a great atmosphere, culture, not a place you want to go to. There has been this element of ridicule around Punjab, where people or players say, I wish I don't end up over there. And you can read easily between the lines. Has this season actually done so much more than, they've not won it, but they could have transformed things, a culture of sorts that Shreyas and Ponting can take great credit for. This could be a serious team next few years.
Yeah, very much so. They've got a taste here. They've had an outstanding season. They should celebrate that. Yes, they'll be gutted with the result tonight, as they should be. But upon reflection, they'll look at it and think, we've got a lot of great players and emerging players that are only going to get better and better in time. And we know how to get to a final now. We know how to qualify. We know what's required, both, skill-wise, but mentally as well and physically. So, their stocks are on the rise. There's no question of that.
Okay.
Also the rise of Shreyas Iyer as a captain. I think he has sealed himself as one of the best captains in the IPL, and I really would love to see Punjab getting a lot more fan following, because when I used to play for Punjab at Mohali, if we were playing against RCB or CSK, it was not a home game. It was an away game for us. So that also makes a franchise,
100%.
After this result, I don't think that's going to be happening.
Yeah, I think after they also witnessed the KKR game there, where they defended 115 or 14, which should have been their last home game there, but for the playoffs to move there after the resumption. We spoke of this point, that we could have Punjab actually grow into something similar, not like the Sunrisers needed it, but after 2016, you saw the spike in fandom and following. Just winning does that. Nothing sells like success.
Well, I was going to make that point, because I remember in the early days with Sunrisers, there was either chance for Dhoni, Tendulkar, Kohli, and certainly not Sunrisers. Seriously, and it was exactly that feeling. You turn up to your home ground and it's like, okay. But now look how Sunrisers have evolved as a franchise over time. They've got this incredible, as they call, Orange Army that just, support them. And it's nearly like a home game, you're playing an extra player.
Coming back to the Sunrisers point, the Sunrisers GT game was the only other game except the finals where they filled up 90,000 plus at the Narendra Modi Stadium. So Sunrisers after 2016, and also after last year, after they've broken that 250 barrier a couple of times, people have been like, oh my God, this is a team to watch and we really want to watch something really entertaining.
Yeah, I'm with you entirely. Like, I know now after MI-RCB and MI-CSK, that's my own small way of judging what people want.
Yeah.
The tickets that I'm asked for are MI-SRH.
Yeah.
No, MI-RCB, MI-CSK. And to Dustin's point, I have to say, okay, I can arrange something for Mumbai, Punjab, and people used to say, no, don't want it.
Yeah.
This could change that. Suddenly Punjab, because I remember when Yuvraj Singh used to be at Punjab, people wanted to go and watch that. There were some iconic games at the time, and this was a better franchise.
And the great thing is now they have a clear identity. One with Shreyas, who I think could become a real superstar, and secondly with the uncapped players. That's what Punjab now is known for. If you think of them, you'll think Priyansh Arya, Prabh Simran Singh, Nehal Vadera, Shashank Singh, which is a great thing because that will become their identity. It'll be great if, as Varun says, some of the overseas players also step up, and I think Inglis could be an outstanding player
Key
for
member
them
of the team,
for the next 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But they'll always have that identity now of this young, the uncapped group of
I also think Stoinis can be a very important part of their team. I think Inglis and Stoinis and Janssen are 3 really good overseas who they can revolve everybody around. So they've got the makings of a really good team, especially with their Indian contingent firing the way they are.
All right, one last time. I'll scan through comments on our YouTube Live. Lots of RCB love. What else do we have specifically with regards to the game or the season in general? DOF says, you have to be brave to retire a player out when the final is on the line. Could they have done so with Vadera at some point?
No, I don't think the time was right, and they didn't have the batting to make that call.
Nishant says, why did Punjab openers go away from their usual style of batting, especially Prabh? What he was doing put a lot of pressure on the batters after that.
They were trying. It's not like they weren't trying. I think it's just that what we spoke about right before qualifier 1, that they are a bit inexperienced. The pressures of a final might have got to them, because it's not like they weren't trying. they just couldn't get off the mark. And the first ball which Priyansh actually hit properly, he got him out. So that was really sad.
And to be honest, I think Prabh may have lost a bit of form in the last few games, right? I mean, he had a great start to the tournament, but he looked today like a batter who was struggling for form a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. You know, his effort to hit the ball was very evident against it being seamless. You know, when players are in form, they just do things instinctively and it's seamless. Where Wadera was the same today. Not that he's out of form because he played so beautifully the game before, but, you know, just forcing the ball, trying to find timing and it's not there. Just a point around the opening partnership. You know, they faced 41 balls in that opening partnership, the privilege of power play, and they only hit 6 boundaries. That's quite telling, particularly for this pair that dealt him boundaries all season.
And a lot of them were from edges, out of those boundaries.
Top edges, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of you actually focused on the opening pair, and I think that, I guess, is something that's hard to understand, but panels opined on what they think were the reasons for it. Lots of credit going through to the coaching staff, which is nice to see, for Andy Flower, for Mo Bobat. Lots of love for Kohli. Even fans who are from MI are saying we welcome RCB to the Champions Club. That's nice. Nice touch.
But the next tweet or the next comment will be, you've got 4 more to go.
All right. Lawrence John says, honest confession, I never felt Krunal was good pick. I felt that RCB made a huge mistake and they proved me wrong for sure. I think he proved a lot of people wrong. Hats off to Krunal. I like this comment, and I think we've heard this point previously. They've actually picked a lot of players who had a lot to play for. Krunal, Jitesh Sharma, you know, guys who are not necessarily in your first line of conversation for Indian selection.
Specific roles, though. They're very specific roles. There's not too many people that domestic Indian batters that can play like Jitesh down the order, which is something they missed when DK retired. They needed that specific player. And who was the other one, sorry?
Krunal.
Oh, Krunal, yeah. And, you know, that role as a defensive spinner, they needed a defensive spinner, particularly at home, that someone not necessarily is going to get drift and massive rip away from the right-hander, but someone that can just bowl in a conservative defensive way and be effective by picking wickets up that way.
And even going, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Even going forward, I think this bowling attack is really suited for Chinnaswamy, the Chinnaswamy wicket and the stadium, because you want to be picking bowlers who can hit the top of off as a fast bowler, and as a spinner, somebody who can really slide it in and not veer too far away from those lengths. Because Chinnaswamy, if you just get a little short, you're going to be met. If you see last year, they had Azari Joseph and Lockie Ferguson, good bowlers, but not for that stadium. Because the moment you go slightly short and too back of length, you're going to be met.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was among a few people who before the tournament began felt that RCB were light in the spin bowling department. And do remember in the auction, they went up to about 14 crore for UZ Chahal, they went up to about 6 crore for R. Ashwin as well. So Krunal may not necessarily have been plan A, but the fact is that they got him, they went 5.75, and then clearly they've kept him motivated and he's motivated himself, and I think proven a lot of people wrong, because it did seem like his career was plateauing a bit at LSG, and now he's had a big season after a long time.
And the other thing we can't ignore is that if they actually won that bid for Venki Iyer, you take yourself back to that moment
One
in
of
the
the
auction.
great what ifs. Yeah.
That would have totally blown this team and the balance of this team apart.
I guess you...
One bit away.
I'm sure the fans of KKR would love hearing that call.
They were due.
I know, you're absolutely right.
Nothing against Venki Iyer, but that's a huge price to pay, which totally throws all your plans after that bid out the window.
Auctions, especially the big ones, as you've opened, they're so unpredictable. And they ended up getting Padikkal in an accelerated round, I think it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who
No one
actually
wanted
also
him.
had his part to play. He had an excellent season.
Did really well.
There's another player who had a lot to prove.
High strike rate.
Yeah.
Which was what he was being criticised for in his previous franchise.
And then got in Mayank, who has another point to prove, because he was captain 4 years ago and now he wasn't picked in the auction. So he comes in with a lot of fire and does what he did.
I really like that in this RCB review, we pretty much brought up almost every player.
Yeah.
We can throw in Tim David, just as a mention. He's played his part. Liam Livingston also didn't necessarily disgrace himself in the final, had a nice little innings, important catch.
Innings, yeah.
Suyash Sharma we've spoken of in previous. And even though Phil Salt returned after becoming a daddy, He didn't bat too long, but what a catch.
What a catch.
He's done it twice now. I think he did it for Deepak Chahar at the Wankhede,
Yeah, exactly.
where he ran across, and that was close game.
Big moment. Big moment.
Huge catch. All right. On that note, I can also confirm Krunal Pandya is indeed player of the match
So good.
of the IPL final.
That's
Second
Richly
time?
deserved.
Yeah, that's the second time, 2017. That time was more for his batting, so he's got one for each now.
I can also confirm that Surya Kumar Yadav is the player of the tournament. High strike rate, top 3. You feel like you could have gone somewhere else? Who would you have gone?
Tough toss-up between him and Bumrah, but but Surya, got to give it to him.
I mean, I would throw Shreyas's name in there, just adding the captaincy to the batting. But, I mean, there have been a lot of good performers this year.
I'm going to throw another one, and this is not because I'm Australian. What about Hazelwood?
Yeah.
Who's influenced the success of a franchise the most that's won the trophy?
I agree with Tom. That was at the back of my head.
To me,
Yeah.
you remove him, it's like removing Bumrah from Mumbai Indians.
I think they might have followed the same criteria for both of them, that they didn't play every game.
Maybe.
Okay.
Bumrah
Maybe.
missed 4-5 games at the start, Hazelwood a few, but I take your point entirely.
Yeah.
Sai
Well, they're all richly deserved.
Yeah.
Because they all had great seasons. But
Sai
we just,
Sudarshan is the emerging player and the orange cap winner.
Huge.
I think he's emerged now.
Yeah.
he's arrived.
He shouldn't be in that category
He's
anymore.
close to double Vaibhav Suryavanshi's age.
I mean, I think he was emerging maybe 2 seasons ago. I don't know about emerging now, but yeah.
Prasidh Krishna is the purple cap wicket taker, which is
Brilliant.
again
Yeah.
quite a good story. And
Great story.
Hazelwood is actually third on that list in spite of having played 3 games less than Prasidh.
Wow.
So there's that for you. Noor Ahmed is second. Not a big year for spinners and not a good year for CSK, but Noor is something to remark upon. Kohli just punches in another 650 season and bounces. Just drops it like it's hot.
Yeah.
And as much as we've debated Kohli's innings today, you can't argue with his season this year.
Oh,
It's
phenomenal.
been an outstanding
Incredible.
season. Even if you want to say his innings today, was helped by the players around him, he's due that from the other players, considering how he's played.
Dustin, the thing is, we're here to cast an opinion and a critical eye
Of
without
course, yeah.
it being personal or overcritical. But the observation at halfway mark was the fact that it was an innings that was probably at a modest pace that needed a little bit more acceleration, and that's fair judgment.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. He's a remarkable player that continues to be in that sort of top 3 or 4 players every single year of run scorers, and he's got better because he's evolved with the game since the impact subs come into the game. His game has also shifted to accommodate that.
Yeah, and I'll throw in that he's now competing with guys who are 15 years younger than him or 10 years younger than him.
And
His
he
contemporaries are done. Like
And
Rohit
15
Sharma.
years. I think Vaibhav Suryavanshi is about 20 years younger than him.
10, yeah. Oh, okay, that way. Rohit Sharma doesn't have these sorts of returns. Shikhar Dhawan has retired. No, these are the guys who used to play with Kohli.
But he's also a massive contributor in the field. He's a gun fielder.
Yeah.
He holds down the hot spots. More often than not takes all his catches. His presence is also very much felt.
All right.
And
On
he's
that-
built RCB, the brand.
He's built
Yeah.
the brand. Yes, indeed. And the only time I've seen him get personal is when he put you at fine leg.
No, short finally.
Not fine leg, sorry. Yeah. Barring that, I think Mr. Moody's been spot on. But it's been a great season. I think Suryavanshi's name coming up in the post show, it'll be one of the many things that the IPL 2025 will be remembered for.
Yeah.
And, geez, it's a tournament like no other. It's fair to say. The last rapid fire review on T20 timeout. Gentlemen, are you ready? Let's go. Tom, 1,000+ games in the IPL for RCB. This is just 500 odd for Punjab. Was the Gulf experience the biggest factor on the night?
I think there's no doubt the experience certainly helped RCB and their composure under pressure on the big stage.
Varun, 2 for 17, including 12 dot balls. What did Krunal Pandya do right to get the job done today?
Used his wit, used all his experience of playing finals, and that ended up him being another player of the finals. Obviously, great execution of change in pace and lengths. Just knew exactly how to outsmart the batsman, something that he does second to none.
All right, Dustin, the 17th over going for 23 of Kyle Jamieson. Shepherd getting Shreyas Iyer or Krunal getting Inglis, the biggest turning point for you?
I would say it was the Inglis wicket. Krunal getting that wicket because Inglis looked like he might be that player to play the match-winning innings. He was the only one striking the ball well, and Krunal getting him out really deflated Punjab after that.
Okay, Tom, heartbreaking end, but has this season signalled a turning of the page for Punjab Kings?
Without a doubt, you can see there's a considerable culture shift there. The energy around that team's a lot different than what we've seen historically. They're well coached, they're well led by Shreyas Iyer, and they've got some very exciting young talent coming through.
Varun, if you had to pick the biggest point of difference that has led to RCB to their first IPL title, what would you pick?
Josh Hazelwood, without a doubt. The way he's bowled this season in the power play, at the death, just using all his nuance. And actually, he's got about 8 wickets at the death. 5 of them have been from length balls. That just shows how he knows how to use his weapons, being a big factor in RCB winning this trophy.
Okay, Dustin, similar, but you could pick another one if you'd like. Kohli, Salt, Hazelwood, Krunal. Pick your MVP for RCB's title-winning season.
If we're picking for the season, I think it has to be Hazelwood because, again, he's been that really experienced fast bowler, outstanding fast bowler that RCB have missed in some seasons before.
Tom, Patidar, the captain, is he the biggest surprise in a positive way of IPL 2025, and what were you most impressed about him as captain?
Yeah, great story. Huge pressure going into that role with the history of this franchise. Did it seamlessly, and the most impressive thing is that he seemed to do it in a very calm and astute way without, having the interferences that potentially could sort of rock his leadership style.
And finally, for all of you, what will you remember the most from IPL 2025? Who'd like to go first?
I think I'm just going to go those last visuals of the RCB team celebrating Virat Kohli falling down to the ground and just it meaning so much to him. That just shows if you're with the franchise for 18 years and you've been waiting 18 years, 10 playoffs, and finally win a trophy, what it means to even the best player in the world.
For me, it's that's a great point, but for me, it's the story of the uncapped players. Not just Punjab, but throughout the whole IPL. We've seen some players, certainly in my case, and in a lot of people's case, haven't heard of before, that suddenly have stormed the toughest tournament in the world and taken it by the scruff of the neck and run with it.
Yeah, gosh, I mean, it's hard to look past that Vaibhav Suryavanshi innings. Ultimately, a 14-year-old hitting 100 in the IPL it's something that I still haven't wrapped my head around.
Okay, very good. Well, I have so many memories.
Why don't you go with one? Come on, Raunak.
I can't pick one.
No, you got to. You make us pick one all the time.
Spot, you've got to do it.
You can do a much better job of it.
Spotlight's on you.
Okay, if I had to pick one.
If I have to.
Yeah. He's itching to pick one.
I love Digvesh Rathi.
Oh my God.
Oh, that is a good one.
Sign off.
You're a rebel at heart, aren't you?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I love anything that leaves a lasting memory. Rathi, Abhishek Sharma,
Yeah.
pulling that out. KL Rahul. I love celebrations.
Yeah.
One of those. But I'm in the company of champions. A champion-winning coach, a league champion in Varun Aaron. Dustin is the Bandra Gymkhana singing champion.
Not even.
He's got a great voice. He's
Really?
the guitar and whatnot.
Really, Dustin?
Yeah. I'm not kidding at all. Hand on heart. And that is the thought I leave you with when you go to
Beautiful.
bed tonight. Dustin singing you.
That will put me to sleep.
Mr. Moody, I can't extend my gratitude enough for your presence once more on our platform.
My pleasure.
Absolute pleasure. A couple of flights up and down with the uncertainty around the league, and you took it with a smile on your face.
Of course.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to having you again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Varun Aaron, champion man that you are, I hope that your multiple broadcast commitments will still allow you a little bit of space to be on the Cricket Info couch.
Always my priority.
Good man. Dustin, I think this is a really long innings. You've had to be drafted in as a more than temporary replacement towards the resumption phase after Matt Roller took a single entry visa of his best judgment. Otherwise, it's pretty good. But you've been brilliant. Thank you so much, Dustin.
Yeah, and we'll have to see each other very soon.
We will, well, fingers crossed. Yeah. But thank you so much. And on behalf of everyone else who's been present on the couch, and Matt and Yash and the entire team here at ESPN Cricket Info Timeout, thank you for being part of it. We try our best to talk cricket as objectively as we can with a little bit of fun. But we hope you've enjoyed the conversation right through the IPL 2025. Shouldn't be long before we're back live again. But until then, as RCB will sleep tonight for the first time in their history as IPL champions, we sign off on Nexa Presents ESPN Cricket Info Timeout. Good night.
Ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.